I don't usually have nightmares, so on the day everything began, I fell asleep completely normally, thinking the next day would pass just like any other. But the moment I woke up, I knew something was wrong. The room was very familiar, yet it felt unfamiliar. I was lying on the bed, eyes open, but my body felt like it wasn't under my control. A strange weight on my chest. I could breathe, but not properly, as if air was going in then getting stuck. I thought sleep paralysis. I had heard about it before. People can't move, they get scared, they see strange things. I tried to calm myself. That's when I realized there was someone else in the room. I couldn't see anyone. But the feeling was very clear, not like it feels like, more like how you know someone is standing behind you, even with your eyes closed. The air in the room turned cold, unnaturally cold. Someone breathed very close to my right ear. I wanted to scream, I couldn't. Then very slowly, in a very low voice, words floated into my ear. "You're awake." The voice was very strange. Human but not quite right, like a throat that hadn't been used in a very long time. I tried to move my eyes. Moonlight was coming through the window gap. And in that light I saw something in the corner of the room where the light didn't reach. The darkness seemed to be moving. I tried to close my eyes, but I couldn't. From inside the darkness, a shape slowly started coming forward. I couldn't see the whole body, but I could tell it was something standing upright. It wasn't walking, it was sliding closer. The pressure on my chest increased. It felt like maybe in a moment my breathing would stop. Just then it stopped, beside my bed, and then I understood it was looking at me. I don't know if it had eyes, but the feeling of being stared at was very real. Then it spoke very slowly. "I've been waiting for a long time." Only one question was spinning in my head, waiting for what, but I didn't have the ability to ask. Suddenly it leaned a little toward me. I felt its cold presence, and then it said something that changed my fear from fear to shock. "You've seen me before, you've seen me before." After hearing this, I felt a strange sensation in my chest, not fear, confusion. I was certain I had never seen anything like this. And yet, somewhere deep inside my mind, something seemed to stir. It was very close to me now, so close that I could feel a cold sensation, as if it wasn't air but ice touching me. I was staring into the darkness. It had no clear face, but there was a boundary where the darkness was dense and the rest of the room was lit. It spoke again. "You've forgotten." As it said those words, the voice changed. No longer hollow, now there was accusation in it. Suddenly something surfaced in my mind, a place. Old, dirty, filled with dim light and shadows. I was standing there at a very young age. The image wasn't clear, but the feeling was painfully familiar. Suddenly my body moved slightly. A faint sensation returned to my fingers. I took a deep breath. At that exact moment it stepped back, not abruptly, slowly, cautiously, as if it realized I wasn't completely trapped anymore. It whispered, "Not now," and the very next moment everything ended. I sat up straight. My body was soaked in sweat. My heart was racing. The room was completely normal. The fan was running. Somewhere far outside, the sound of a car. I picked up my phone, time 2:49. The whole incident lasted less than 30 minutes. I told myself a dream. A bad dream, but one thing didn't quite add up. Beside my right ear, where I had heard the sound of breathing, there was still a faint cold sensation. The next morning I tried to act normal. I worked, talked, smiled. But that sentence kept looping in my head. "You've forgotten." What have I forgotten? That night I didn't want to sleep. I laid down with the lights on. Sleep didn't come. Around 3 a.m. I was lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Just then, the light flickered once, for 1 second. But in that 1 second, I saw something in the corner of the ceiling. A shadow. It wasn't moving, it was just there. I closed my eyes, started counting. 1, 2, 3, I opened my eyes. The shadow was no longer on the ceiling. But this time I understood. It wasn't in the room anymore. It was inside my head. Suddenly, a very clear thought came. I knew this before. I had always known, I just didn't want to remember. And right then my phone received a notification. No name, no number, just a single line message. "When you're ready, you'll see me again." I stared at the phone for a long time. The message was still on the screen. No name, no number, no option to reply. I told myself maybe a glitch, maybe I was overthinking. But the truth is, deep down I knew this wasn't an ordinary message. That night I didn't sleep. I sat until morning. When sunlight entered the room, I felt a little relief. But that relief didn't last long, because in daylight I noticed something I hadn't seen the night before. On the wall beside the bed, where my right ear rests, a very faint mark. I touched it with my finger, cold. The mark looked like a handprint, not the whole hand, just the fingers. I couldn't go to work that day. My mind was unsettled. Inside my head, one question kept repeating, what have I forgotten? Around noon, I suddenly smelled something. Old, damp, like the smell of a place that's been closed for a long time. There was no reason for that smell to be in my room. I opened the windows, still it didn't go away. That's when I realized the smell wasn't in the air, the smell was in my mind. The moment I closed my eyes, that place surfaced again. An old room, broken walls, water pooled on the floor. I was standing there very small, and someone was in front of me. I couldn't see their face, but I could feel I wasn't afraid. Instead, I was curious. Suddenly, my head started hurting. I opened my eyes. I understood I wasn't making this memory up. This was real. That evening, I made a decision. I wouldn't run, I would know. I picked up my phone, opened the Notes app, wrote one line, "Who are you?" I saved it. Less than a minute passed, the text changed by itself. Now the screen read, "I am not you, but without you I don't exist." My hands started shaking. I threw the phone away. The room suddenly became strangely quiet, so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. Just then I felt something very familiar behind me, a presence. I didn't turn around. Because I knew if I turned this time, I wouldn't be able to deny it anymore. It came very close and said, "You've come back." The moment I heard that, everything clicked in my head. I understood. I never forgot. I tried to forget on purpose, because as a child I had opened a door that should never have been opened, and now it wanted to open it again. I closed my eyes. Because if I kept them open, I couldn't believe the reality around me anymore. It was standing right behind me. I could feel its cold presence on my neck. There was no sound of breathing, yet I knew it was there. "You've started to remember," it said. I slowly nodded. I was afraid, but I didn't want to run anymore. I wanted to know. I asked, "What did I do?" The voice changed again, no longer hollow. Now it sounded tired. "You let me come inside," it said. "And then you closed the door." Suddenly a sharp pain exploded in my head. I dropped to my knees. This time the images weren't unclear. I saw myself small, very small, an old building. No one lived there. I knew that place was wrong. Still I went because curiosity. That door, I still remember it. Metal, old, half open. Inside was dark, but not ordinary darkness. It was deep. I had looked inside, and then someone spoke inside my head, "Don't be afraid." I wasn't afraid. That was the mistake. I opened the door completely. Suddenly, the air in my room grew heavy. I was still on my knees. It slowly came in front of me. This time I could see a part of it, not the whole body, but enough. It had no definite shape. As if darkness itself was trying to become a person. "I came out with you," it said. "You didn't trap me inside." I kept staring. "Then why don't I remember anything?" I asked. It paused. "Because you understood," it said. "If I stayed, you wouldn't be able to live normally." Suddenly I remembered I was crying. As a child, I didn't tell anyone anything. I just wanted to forget. And somehow I did for all these years, but it managed to stay with me, silently, waiting. It looked at me and said, "Now you're grown, now you'll understand." My throat went dry. "For what?" I whispered. It answered very slowly, "To open the door again." At that exact moment, the mirror in my room cracked, a sound like a scream, but no noise. I looked at the mirror. And there I wasn't alone. I was staring at the mirror. At first, everything seemed normal. My own reflection in the broken glass, shattered, distorted, incomplete, but the problem was somewhere else. I was moving, but the me in the mirror was moving 1 second later. I blinked, it blinked too, but again a little late. A cold feeling spread through my chest. Slowly I raised my hand. The hand in the mirror didn't rise, it just kept staring at me. I stepped back, the me in the mirror smiled. I didn't, it looked exactly like me, exactly. But there was something missing in its eyes, something I have. From behind me, that voice came again, "That's the door." I turned my head. It was no longer unclear. It was standing right beside me. I asked, "How do I open it?" It said, "You opened it before, you just have to remember what you gave." Suddenly, a sharp sound exploded inside my head, like many doors slamming shut at once. I understood the door wasn't in a place. The door was inside me. I looked at the mirror again. The me inside opened its mouth, but no sound came out. The sound came inside my head. "Give me back," my breath caught. "What did I give?" I whispered. The reflection spoke, "A part of you." That's when I understood why I never felt complete happiness. Why some emotions always felt hollow. I wasn't whole. I closed my eyes, and I saw that moment at the door again. the small me standing in front of the door, darkness spilling out from inside. I was shaking, but I closed the door. While closing it, I left something behind there, something very human, fear, regret, a part that feels pain. I had closed the door and said, "You keep this." I came back to the room. The mirror was no longer cracked, completely intact, but I wasn't in the mirror, only it looking like me. It reached out its hand. "Now it's time to switch," it said. Tears rolled down my eyes, because I understood if someone is listening to this story right now, then the door is no longer just mine. I was crying silently without a sound, because these tears weren't of sorrow, they were of realization. I understood that what I thought everything could be fixed was never possible. The one in the mirror wasn't rushing anymore. It knew I understood. Suddenly, the door of the room closed by itself. The sound of a lock, very clear. I turned around. The doorknob was moving. Not from inside, from outside. I swallowed. "Is there someone else?" I whispered. The voice behind me answered, "There always was." My heart jolted. I suddenly realized this wasn't just my experience. The door I had opened, once opened, never belongs to just one person. I walked toward the door. The moment I touched the handle, my hand went numb. Just then, many voices began speaking inside my head at once. Different, familiar, unfamiliar, but every voice said the same thing: "Tell our story." I stepped back. "No," I said. "I won't let anyone else do this." The room shook. The lights went out one by one. Only the mirror was glowing. The one inside the mirror now fully turned toward me. "You've already started," it said. "The moment you began telling this story." I froze. Yes, I understand now. I could have kept this buried. I could have stayed forgotten, but I spoke. I started telling it. And telling means opening the door little by little. I looked at the mirror one last time. It no longer looked like me. It was listening, actively listening. I said slowly, "I know you're here. I know you're listening." The air in the room grew heavy. I stopped before saying the final words, because I know at this moment, anyone who is hearing this is not alone. I stood there for a long time, didn't speak, didn't move, because I had understood in a place like this, haste ruins everything. The air in the room was no longer cold, it was heavy. As if sound itself had weight, I slowly sat down on the floor, my back against the door. I knew there was no one on the other side of it, and still, the handle moved sometimes. I closed my eyes. This time I didn't try to be afraid, I just listened. The voices were no longer speaking together, one by one, whispering. Every voice carried the same feeling, waiting. I understood then they weren't pulling me, they just wanted me to step forward on my own. I opened my eyes and looked at the mirror. It was calm now, strangely calm. I walked up to it. Looked into my own eyes. For the first time, I saw myself completely. The fear was there, the pain was there, but I didn't run. I whispered, "I won't divide myself anymore, not with you." Not with anyone. A sound echoed in the room. The lock on the door clicked open, but I didn't turn around, because I knew once this decision is made, they can't force it anymore. The thing in the mirror slowly faded, like someone erasing color from a picture. In the end, only I remained, just me. Since that night, nothing strange has happened again, but I've changed. Even now at night, I don't look under doors, because I know some doors don't open with sound, and some stories aren't meant just to be heard. If you're still listening to this up to this point, then remember one thing: forgetting some memories isn't weakness. Keeping some doors closed is how you survive. I told this story because I was able to keep it closed. But if tonight you suddenly wake up for no reason, even with the light on, if the room feels unfamiliar, then you'll understand this story is no longer just mine. The end.